Welcome. I'm John Skinner, Regional Agronomy Manager for the Central Region here at Beck's Hybrids, and today I want to touch on profitable fungicide pass. Now, over the years here at PFR, we've done a ton of testing on fungicides, but here we're going to put it all together and give you the information to make the most profitable fungicide pass on your acres. We're going to talk about corn, then we're going to dive into soybeans, so they'll be totally separate, and then at the end, a little bonus information for you double crop producers out there. When I talk about profitable fungicide pass, I really look at four main key components: the products we use, the growth stage in which we apply them, the time of day in which we apply them, as well as a carrier rate we use with our ground applied fungicide applications on corn. So we'll dive right into the foliar products. This year, 2020, at our PFR sites, we could deem that the year of the fungicide. It seemed like any product that we used showed a positive yield advantage as well as a very significant positive ROI. So the results on corn from our 4 participating sites in 2020 are on the screen here. And you can see we had extremely high yield responses to applying a fungicide, between 10.3 and 16.5 bushel to the acre. And in turn, that led to a $26 to $40 per acre yield response. Now, when we're selecting the proper fungicide to use on our farms, I always make sure we select for a fungicide that has mixed mode of action. So 2 or 3 modes of action that are targeting the actual diseases that we're going to encompass in our field. So if we're looking at a situation with gray leaf spot, we need to pick fungicides that are heavily active against that disease. If we're looking at one to prevent tar spot or northern corn leaf blight, we may need to change our recommendation and look at different fungicides with different active ingredients to combat those diseases. Now, although we had a very significant ROI year in 2020 at our 4 sites, over the past 3 years, we have come with PFR proven fungicide products. As you can see on the screen here, there's 4 products that we have PFR proven that are our highest earners in the ROI class. TrivaPro, Delaro, and Headline Amp have been with us from sometime between 2012 to 2018. And then this year, we had Zolero FX, a new fungicide that earned the badge of PFR proven. So remember, when selecting a product, pick one with multiple modes of action and that's very effective against the diseases that are going to be present in your field. The second aspect of a profitable fungicide pass is going to be the fungicide timing. This is not just timing in growth stage of the plant, but there's also another aspect with timing from the time of day we apply the fungicide. So let's see what that looks like. Over 3-year multi-location fungicide timing return on investment studies that we've done, we've targeted 3 different application timeframes. An early season V5 application to look at foliar and stalk diseases such as anthracnose, crown rot, and some of those early season stalk diseases that can rear their ugly head and take yield from us later in the season from a standability aspect. We've also done a tassel application. So when that field is fully emerged with tassels, we go out and make our fungicide application. And then we did a program where we did at both growth stages to see if that systems effect would give us benefit in yield and ROI. The results you can see here is pretty persuasive that a VT application does return the highest amount of money to our pocket when making a fungicide application. The V5 and VT application was positive ROI, but a very slim margin. So as markets turn or price of fungicide changes or application timing changes, we could see that positive ROI deteriorate. And V5, although in some situations it did add yield, we could never get it to be a positive ROI. So from a timing aspect of growth stage of plant, let's look at applying our fungicide at the VT timeframe for the highest results. Now, the other aspect of fungicide timing is going to be the time of day. And we've studied this for 3 years in PFR, and it actually has earned the PFR proven stamp. The PFR proven practice here is to apply our fungicides early in the day when we still have wetness or dew on the leaves. For our study in 2020, we targeted an 8 a.m. time frame versus a 3 p.m. time frame where the leaves were dry. As you can see from the data on the screen, there was about a $15 advantage to applying those fungicides early in the morning. So the only thing we did in this study was change the time of day in which we applied the fungicide, and it netted us over $15 an acre. Now, if we think about the why behind that, there's a few different things that could affect why the 8 a.m. was a higher yielding and higher ROI. If we think about dew on the surface, effectively, our spray application is hitting that leaf surface, encompassing that dew, spreading out on the leaf, so potentially we gain more surface area of coverage. Also in the morning, when the plant is more relaxed, the stomata are typically open. That could be another pathway in which fungicide could enter the plant. The third factor that we look at for 8 a.m. applications is that fungicide, once it hits a leaf, it sits on there longer and doesn't have the potential to be evaporated as quickly as a 3 p.m. application does. So with those three factors in mind, we take a look at our 3-year multi-location data, and what we found is very consistent with what we saw in 2020, that the 8 a.m. application is providing us about $10 to the acre advantage over 3 p.m. So I know there are logistical concerns with this, but if we can target our fungicide applications to be done in those early morning hours, we can see a significant return on investment. Another factor that greatly influences a profitable fungicide pass is carrier rate. So that's just going to be the amount of water we add with our fungicide application. In these specific studies, we targeted ground-applied fungicides, and we targeted rates of 10, 15, and 20 gallons to the acre. You can see from the 2020 data, again, outstanding results from applying a fungicide versus a control of no fungicide. But as we increased our carrier rate from 10 to 15, and again from 15 to 20, we saw greater return on investment from that. Again, we're looking at total leaf area coverage, deeper penetration of that fungicide into the plant canopy, and more leaf surface coverage to give us these results and benefits. 2020 data is very consistent with what we've seen in our multi-location testing. So with 3 years and multi-locations, we've seen that an increased carrier rate in fungicides has returned a very positive return on investment. Now, the recommendation I would make here, even with 15 and 20 gallons being those PFR proven practices, is probably stick to the 15 gallon to the acre. It eliminates a few of those logistical concerns. We don't have to fill as much, we don't have to tender as much, and we can get more acres done in that critical time frame of AM application to reap some of the benefits of those early morning applications. A great visual here to wrap up the carrier rate portion of this, but you can see the plants on the left did not get a fungicide. The plants on the right got a fungicide at the 20 gallon per acre rate. So you can see depth of canopy with greenness is a lot greater. Those plants are healthier and ultimately led to later season standability. So fungicide carrier rate, a huge way to improve your ROI with the fungicide pass. The final thing I want to look at on corn is fungicide additives. Now, when I talk about fungicide additives, I'm basically talking about things we can add into the tank while we apply that fungicide that are going to give us a positive ROI. The ones we looked at multi-location in 2020 were all products that had a micronutrient blend to them. For 2020, the one that led the forefront was Brant Smart B MO. That's going to be boron and molybdenum. And we came in at $13.58 to the acre. Harvest More Urea Mate as well as Feast XL Profit Master both contain boron supplements, which I really think is the key to these additives putting money back in our pocket. When we look at boron, it helps with cell wall formation. It also helps with some reproductive processes within that plant. So when we target a VT time frame, this boron can get into the plant and help some of those pollen tube growth issues we have in dry weather be overcome. The other thing with boron is it's mobile in the soil. So sometimes our plants have a hard time taking it up if it gets moved to depth within the soils which our roots cannot get. So I really strongly feel the boron is the main component, pulling these to the forefront and adding that return on investment. We've tested the Harvest More urea mate for 2 years and seen extremely good responses from it. So $15.79 an acre response with that Harvest More product. Again, a product that has a very extensive micronutrient package in it, really just to finish off that plant, make sure we have enough of those micronutrients for grain fill to push optimum yield. Now, the Feast XL is one we've tested for 3 years, and it has a $7.53 advantage to just the fungicide application. So when you go to make those fungicide passes for your 2021 crop, consider adding in a fungicide additive that's going to be heavy in boron and some other micronutrients to really help push that top end yield. I would also encourage you to really study the products which you use in an fungicide additive, because there are some out there that do not have plant analysis, and we really want to focus on these ones here that we've found to be highly productive in our PFR testing. Now, on to soybeans. Soybeans follow a lot of very similar guidelines when we're looking at a profitable fungicide pass. They have influence from carrier rate, they have influence from the products we choose to use, they have influence from time of day applications. So let's take a look and see what that looks like now. When we talk about foliar products in soybeans, the same thing rings true as it does in corn. We want to target a product with a mixed mode of action, so we have multiple modes of action to prevent fungicide resistance and prevent fungus from reproducing and causing harm to our soybean plants. If you look at our 5 participating sites here from 2020, every single one of them, regardless of product, regardless of location, regardless of weather pattern, showed a positive yield response and in turn a positive ROI. Fungicide, soybean fungicide is one of the key components to a high yielding soybean package, and I think you need to really dive in and pick the product that works for you. Here's a great list of PFR proven fungicide products. You see again, TrivaPro made the list for soybeans as well as it has with corn. Delaro SC again, corn and soybean. Preaxor, Stratego Yield, and again in 2020 the addition of Zalero FX. So 5 fungicides there that are all mixed modes of actions that have different active ingredients to target different pests and pathogens which you're going after with your fungicide application. Now, the fungicide timing on soybeans is one thing that I'd like everybody to take away from this. If you haven't heard it before, the greatest time to apply a fungicide on a soybean as far as the growth stage goes is at that R3 growth stage. I can't stress that enough how important making sure we hit that R3 growth stage is. You can see from our 7-year multi-location testing that if we go too early, one growth stage too early, we take that down to a $3.91 per acre loss on our fungicide application. If we take it one growth stage too late, we lose $2.53 per acre on this fungicide application. So R3 is a PFR proven timing for fungicide application on soybeans. And what we're looking to do there is protect those nodes 6 through 13, which are present at R3, because they account for about 70% of the soybean yield from that plant. So if we can protect those, give them a better life, less stress, we're going to see it pay us back in yield and ROI. The other aspect of fungicides on soybeans is very similar to that of corn. When we can apply at 8 a.m. with dew on the leaves versus 3 p.m. with dry leaves, we consistently see that yield and ROI response similar to that of corn. Now, if we think about soybeans, they are a very lush canopy when we're making this fungicide application. So the more leaf we can protect, the more coverage we can get on those leaves, the better off we're going to be. And a very simple, easy way to do that: take something that Mother Nature gave us and apply with dew on the leaves. It will pay you back. This is actually a 3-year study, PFR proven, that 8 a.m. versus 3 p.m. or the heat of the day is going to average us about $5.34 acre return on investment. So simple way to make $5 an acre there by getting out early and applying those fungicides with dew on the leaves. Carrier rate on soybeans, very similar to what we talked about on corn. we've tested the Delaro fungicide at 10, 15, and 20 gallons to the acre, and as we saw in corn, as we increased our gallonage, our yield went up and our ROI went up. Now, here's where we're going to differ from corn. If I were to make the recommendation for gallons per acre with the fungicide on soybeans, I would go towards the 20 gallons per acre. They have a more dense canopy, a more lush canopy, and it's a little bit harder to get penetration into that canopy versus corn. So, on a soybean fungicide to be the most profitable, we're going with 20 gallons to the acre. Additives on soybeans are very similar to those on corn. A lot of times what we're trying to do is put the final pieces in that puzzle for high yield, and getting some of those micronutrients into the plant at a time when it needs it most is going to lead us to higher yield as well as higher ROI. And you can see that from the data we have on the screen. From our 5 participating sites in 2020, all these additives had a positive ROI. Now, one that really comes to the top over 3 years of multi-location studies and is PFR proven is the Harvest More Urea Mate that we've applied the same product in corn. So we don't see as big as a bump as we saw in the corn, but still $2.22 to the acre. We're already making that pass with the PFR proven fungicide as well as PFR proven timing. So to get a little more ROI out of it, it's something we should probably look at when making those fungicide passes. Easy Molly B and Brant Smart BMO are 2 that we've tested for 2 years, and both of them have extremely good return on investment. As we know with PFR proven, we need to have 3 years of testing to earn that name of PFR proven, so I'm excited to see what it brings next year for 2 of these high performers in that fungicide additive study. The final thing on first crop soybeans that I want to talk about is adjuvant. Okay, we didn't test this in corn because there are some adjuvants going early that can cause issues with ear development and arrested ears. So typically on those corn fungicide passes, we're leaving out that adjuvant. But this is something that could become a player in the soybean fungicide game. Okay, so we tested Brant Super 7 and Franchise, both of which had positive yield results as well as positive ROIs. Okay? One thing we look at when we're talking about surfactants or adjuvants with the soybean application is they tend to acidify the spray solution. And when we get slightly more acidic spray solution, we tend to see a higher response from a fungicide application. So not only do they help in that way, but they help get that fungicide onto the leaf tissue and stay where we put it. 2-year study using the Brant Super 7 shows us some pretty consistent return on investment. So we're 1 year again away from being a PFR proven product in that soybean fungicide application, but the 2-year average $16.43, definitely something I would recommend for your soybean fungicide applications in 2021. Now, we'll move into bonus time here. This is for the double crop soybean producers out there. You know, I saw this data and thought a lot of times we just plant double crop beans and we hope the weather's right and we get some decent yield out of them. But we decided to test in 2020 what fungicide looks like on our double crop soybeans. So we used some of our more southern sites, our Kentucky and southern Illinois site. And like I said earlier, 2020 was the year of the fungicide. We saw amazing results from all of our fungicides in testing, but 13.7 ounces of Miravis Top came in with $31 to the acre advantage. That boosted our yield 5.4 bushel to the acre, which I'll take any day on double crop soybeans. Now, over a 3-year time frame, looking at the Zalero product, 2018, 19, and 20, we did see a little dip in 2019, but overall averaged a positive return on investment of $5.11 to the acre. So 3 years worth of data applying fungicide on double crop soybeans and getting a $5.11 ROI, that's probably something I'd encourage you double crop producers out there to do if you're not doing it already. All right, to bring it on home, what are the keys to a profitable fungicide pass? We always got to choose the right product. Target diseases that are present in your field in both corn and soybeans, and select products that have multiple effective modes of action. Target the right growth stage. In corn, we're looking at a VT application, and in soybeans, we're looking to hit it at the R3 growth stage. We saw in the graphs earlier what missing it one way early or one way late does to the soybeans, so really focus in on that R3 growth stage. Time of day is the third factor for a profitable fungicide pass. Early AM with dew on the leaves is something that's going to provide some very significant advantages to your fungicide application. And the final one, the proper carrier rate. We targeted 15 gallons to the acre on corn to get consistent ROI, being a PFR proven practice, as well as factoring some of those logistical concerns that we have with spraying that much water. And then on soybeans, 20 gallons to the acre to penetrate that canopy and give us the highest return on investment. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you're looking for more information on fungicide, please visit our website or get in contact with your seed advisor or local agronomist, and they have access to a wide range of Beck's agronomy library that can help you in your operation. Thank you.